Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, depending on where you are in the world. I'd like to welcome you to World Chess Coach. I'll be going over 3 of my games, and we'll focus on the lessons learned from the games, okay? So, I played d4, d5, c4, and he plays e6, that's the Queen's Gambit declined. Queen's Gambit is when I give up this c pawn, where he would take immediately, and I'd be able to play e4 or get extra play in the center. I'll have 2 pawns in the center, versus there's only one. Also, will lead to, for example, let's say a simplified version would be instead of e6, he plays pawn takes pawn, and I play e3, for example. Well, I'm immediately threatening to take that back. Okay, so e3 is one definite, bona fide way of doing it. So anyway, excuse me. Just in case you haven't seen my other videos, that's the purpose of the Queen's Gambit. This is a perfectly good way of playing e6 because it lets your bishop come out. It does block in your bishop, but it's a temporary. I mean, white will have a very slight advantage in the beginning, but question is for how long? I don't know. After d4, d5, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4, knight f3, d takes c4, and e3 now. Also, at e3, I'm letting the bishop come out, and while the bishop is attacking on b5. Now, he can play b5 now, but here's the problem. I cannot play knight takes b5 because the knight is pinned. I played a3 here. A3 puts question to the bishop. But the other thing about it is, I think I could immediately just play a4 now. And after let's say b takes a4, we play bishop takes c4. And how is he going to defend this? And then, of course, later, or say a4 pawn takes, we have queen takes check, right? So a4 might be the move here. A3 was too conservative. It does like a4. So bishop d3 is playable for sure. a4 here. c6. Bishop d2 now to get rid of the pin. With the idea of playing pawn takes pawn and pawn takes pawn that way. Knight takes pawn. b6 defending the b pawn. A takes b5. Notice he won't take back with a queen because knight will take, as he broke the pin with bishop ed2. C takes b5. Queen to c2 now. Queen to c2. The idea is we want to control e4. We're going to support playing b3, but at the same time, we'd like to have equal play on the e4 square. Bishop b7 now. b3. That is, if c takes b, we play bishop takes b5 check. Knight d7 to block any check. We play b takes c. We're gonna get this pawn back. It's not a problem. We can also play bishop takes c4. The idea now is that we're going to castle and play rook at h to b1. Notice we have control over the center here, so the play is going to be on the queen's side. So rook c8 now on the bishop, and bishop back to e2. Notice that my knight is now pinned to the queen, so you have to be careful about that. Who wants to push the pawn down the board with a5? Castle now. Knight at g to f6. Rook at f to c1. The idea is we're going to over defend c c3 because I'm never going to play queen to b2. Castle. Castle. We just need to be careful because after bishop takes c3 now, make sure to take back with the bishop and not the queen. Because after bishop takes c3, queen takes queen, knight takes queen, bishop takes queen. This is an inferior version. We want to take back with our bishop because it would let our bishop be a better square. Okay, that said, computer considers that to be about equal, so I'll humor the engine and the chess engine thinks it's equal, so I'll humor the chess engine and claim that it's equal. After a3, bishop takes, b takes. Disadvantage now is I don't have immediate play against the b pawn. We'll give him time to play bishop to b7. Well, he still can, yeah. He wouldn't have time to play bishop b7 because if I already had played a4, it would just after bishop b7, play a takes b5. So bishop b7, a4, a6. Notice the bishop is guarding the rook. So after this exchange on b5 and a takes b5, rook takes rook, he would take back with this bishop. Bishop takes rook. Here is where we need to step back and say, okay, can we make progress by exchanging the pawns? What can we do? Well, let's see. If we can't make progress, we have to find another useful move. What about bishop to a3? Bishop to a3. Notice that he can't play b4 so easily. You don't care about b takes a4 because he can't castle. And after knight f6, into c2 to stop knight to e4. Bishop to e4 now. Queen's gonna move to. We can go to b2 or d2. I like b2 more. Let's say b2. Oh wait, it said this is better for black. Wow. Okay. Um. b7, a4, a6. Let's see. Bishop a3 is a good move, but bishop e2 is possible. The thing is, he's not gonna take anyway. Play bishop b2, play a solid move, bishop e2, knight f6. Bishop a3 is possible knight now because it stops him from castling. So after knight to e4, we play queen c2 anyway, defending the c pawn. Knight to c6 now. Castle. Queen to d5. I think black has about equal play here. Not so easy for white to make headway. Instead he plays knight f6. a4, c6, knight e5. Okay, what we want to do is we want to attack one of these three pawns, especially the ones in the back of it that are supporting pawns, either attacking on b5 or c6. Bishop e2, castle, c2. Castle. Rook to e8 with the idea of e5. Rook to d1 now. After e5, pawn takes. After pawn takes, I can't play, sorry, e5, pawn takes. So So we pretty much stop e5 because it will just win the pawn on e5. Bishop to b7 now, defending the rook and defending the pawn on c6. Now we play e4. Now we've got our bishop can come out. Got this move. Problem with e4. Okay, he doesn't have bishop takes. Right, okay, so queen c7. e5, knight d5. Notice that queen to c6 also defends the bishop, so we can threaten to play a takes b5 on the next move. So he plays a6 to defend it next time. And then knight g5 now. Queen takes h7 check. So he blocks it with g6. Then we get knight e4. Knight e4, we would end up with a better position because you have potentials of threats on d6. And also the idea of playing, like, for example, bishop to g5 is quite strong. So I would say white is at least slightly better. Not winning yet. After knight e5, castle, queen f3. Looks like we're hitting the pawn on c6. Blocks with knight d5. e4 now. So instead of queen d5 like he played, he could have played queen d5. Oh! Oh yeah, and alternatively could have put knight d5 place e4. Back to e7. So you might be crashing through with d5. Even queen g3 with the idea of bishop h6 is good. So white, after queen g3, looks like white is at least a little bit better in this position. e5 is also good. Now we're threatening to trade off this queen, so we play. Well, we have bishop a3 as one option. Bishop e2 is another option, which I like more because if he takes, we take back. And that c pawn is being attacked twice and pinned. So bishop e2 now. Nice move. Bishop e7 and queen takes d5. Queen takes, e takes. Then again, we need to step back and say, okay, we're at the end of a combination. How do we improve our position? Well, if I look back at this, I'd either play f3 or bishop f3. f3 to stop my e4, which is what I played. f3 stops knight e4. Knight b d7. Here, we ask the question, do we want to trade? Or do we want to put more pressure on the people? Well, rook b1 a6, then what? The king can go to f2. Rook can swing over to e1 or d1. How about knight takes d7? Knight takes d7, he would take back, and then we do have e4. So knight takes d7, knight takes d7. Kind of like e4 now. Because I'm going to threaten to take on d5, but after e4, he might play rook e8, which is either I have to play e5, or I have to take, and when he takes back, I take. And after that, I follow up with king f2 and rook e1 here. So he suggests bishop to d1. The idea is you go to c2. I'm not really happy with this position here because I haven't got my rooks connected. It's a miracle that this isn't better for black. Only because I think his bishop on b7 is bad. But king f2 is very playable. King f2 defend the e3 pawn and then rook e1. So these bishops are doing things. The only thing is, what's going on with this? The bishop on c1. Well, could be defending the e3 pawn. So bishop d1. It says it's equal from this point, but I'd have to see this played. I'd have to see this played out more. For example, after a5, we have bishop a3. He doesn't have b4 because we could take over the c pawn. So if he plays f5, we play king f2. We're going to play our other rook or e1. Okay, now let's go back to the game. After f3 is a6 now. So this is considered equal at this point around that. Bishop a3. Correct. I think we have to go in for the bishop d1 idea. Problem with bishop a3 now is you drive him to a better square, which is e8 anyway. Well, it's clear that this bishop needs to be on a better scope. As long as there's no threats in the position in terms of captures or checks, then better to improve the pieces. Now, problem with castle is our king would get too far away from the center. The queen's off the board. So it looks again like bishop to d1 is correct. Okay. Knight b d7. Then we play bishop a3. F to e8, of course. d7. Notice he has rook takes e3 check. So rook takes c3. f2, rook takes c3. Have a move like bishop to b4. Question is, how good of a move is it? Now, where does your rook go? Knight takes d7 and I take the rook. Cannot take on c3. To come back on e8. So after that, it's going to play knight takes f6 check, and g takes f6, and we have rook h e1, or even bishop to c2. We're going to be increasing the scope of this bishop with bishop to c2, and then bishop c2. Let's set up the material. We have 6 pawns against 7 pawns. We have 2 pieces against 1 and 2 rooks. So this would be a win. Bishop a3, rook e8, bishop to d1. Ooh, bishop to d1. I play rook to g1. Sorry, I played rook to b1. Sorry. B1. Knight b d7, knight takes d7, knight takes d7, king d2. Why not king f2? So we have oh yeah, I should have played king f. Oh, I see. The idea was I'm also defending the pawn on c3. Terrible. King d2, knight b6, a5, knight d7, rook he1 now. Now we have those pieces out. We have to decide what to do with these rooks. There's no capture, so a5 is very committable, but the idea is to keep him out of b6. Maybe bishop d1 now. We have bishop to c2. To c5. Bishop c2 now. C takes d. E takes d. But c takes d, it's kind of like you don't have anything to do because you don't have an open file. So e takes d is an important distinction here. Because we need an open file for the rook. Knight to b8. The idea is knight to c6. Play bishop to c5 now, stopping. Well, we can play bishop to b6 now. Ending the. Well, wait. Okay, he doesn't have anything attacking the a5 pawn, right? Knight to c6 now and bishop to b6. Stops rook d8, defends the pawn. Bishop to c8 now on a better diagonal. g4 now to stop. g4 now to stop bishop f5. Bishop d7 connects the rooks. Just play for space, h4, h6. At this point, this is black's a little better. But excuse me, I have a little bit of a stretch there. Looks like black is a little bit better in this position. I frankly don't like how black has played this out. I play rook he1, g6. Ooh. Oh, interesting. G6 is playable. Again, ideally, you'd probably like to play c5 if possible. c5 isn't anything, so g6. g3 now. The idea now is bishop f1 to bishop g2. g6. Bishop f1. And h5. Bishop h3 now. On the knight, notice he has knight f6 or f5. f5 blocks the diagonal. And bishop g2 with the idea of playing e4. At this point, black is still better. It won't be easy to prove in any kind of advantage. Instead, he plays g6, bishop f1. Let the rook be able to push on e4. f5 now. f5, what we'd like to do is get rid of the f pawn so we can get e4 in. We might even have to sacrifice it because if we can get a breakthrough on this file and break up these pawns, it's gonna be nasty. g4, f takes g, f takes g. Okay, so let me do it this way. What we're going to do now is play bishop g2. Knight of 6. Okay, play g5. Better here, what we want to do is keep the light colored squares. We don't want to let him to be able to play knight g4, and now he has a double attack on him. Play h3. g5 is a significant mistake. Number one, so h3 was definitely better. Play h3, knight e4 check, king to c2 now. I'll play bishop g2, right? Black now plays rook e6. It's double on the file. G2, getting rid of that centralized piece. See this knight g3 stuff. The idea is he's going to be doubling up on the e file against that. Rook at b to d1 now. The idea is rook d2 followed by rook e2. A e8 doubling up. Then rook d2. Ooh. Rook f6. Okay. So rook f6 now he wants to come. Can't get at f2. We're going to continue improving the piece with bishop to c5. Black is still clearly better after rook f6. I also like rook f6 here, so I think at this point, black is clearly better here. See, what happened was white played too carefully and it became passive. After bishop c5, black is still clearly better. g5 even worse, he played knight e4, king c2, knight takes g5. Notice he's going to win after g5, he has a fork winning the pawn. And now black tries to recover and plays bishop g2, bishop c8 now. Now he finally gets e4. Notice we have a battering ram against d5. We can open up this position. Black's got good play. Knight takes e4 now. Bishop takes e4. Okay. He takes c4. Then we play king d2. The idea of king e3, rook f1, and rook f4. Bishop to g4 now. e3 as I mentioned. e8 now. Rook to b2. The idea is we can go to g2, hit the bishop. And then after that we play rook f1 and f4. Bishop f3 now. g1. After rook g1, black's actually winning because he has the extra. Even best play black is still winning. Instead he played d takes e4, which makes a difference. h4 kicking the knight now. Important move to make because they're deflecting the knight away. Now I can play knight f3 as in the game. Knight takes, e takes, rook takes now. So, excuse me, he doesn't have knight f3. Alright, this is undefended. Bishop to h3 is what, yeah, I was expecting that. Bishop takes, knight takes, rook f1, a7, e to e1. Okay, so we're gonna threaten to play rook e3, followed by rook g3, rook g5, rook e5, or actually rook c5. Black is still winning, but this would be a different story. A little bit different. Knight f3, bishop takes f3. See, knight f3 just loses a piece. Because you just win the piece. You cannot take back because you lose the rook. E takes f3, rook takes e8 check, king f7, and rook to e3. Notice the back rank is covered by my rook on b1. So rook at e3, bishop g4, rook to g1, and then bishop h5. Notice with the bishop now on a3, he can play this rook e7 move. This is an alert move because it's okay. We want to improve that piece, but we want to be able to put it on in the square where we're counterattacking. So you can play rook e7 check, king takes h7, or if he plays king g6, so rook e7, king g8, we move our king closer to this pawn. Notice we cut off the e file. Gonna move the king closer. Oh, he doesn't like king d2. Yes, he does like king d2. Okay, king d2 is logical because we're going to coordinate the rook and the pawn against the bishop. Where we're up an extra piece, should be able to win, for example, should be able to win some material, such as rook b7, rook b6. King d2, good move. Rook f8, rook f1, rook f4 now. Yes, it was better to actually put the king off here and continue with king to e3 here. E3, we're hitting the rook, double attacking the pawn on f5. Takes h4, d6. Okay, so we've got g5 now. Okay, 7, we're going to go after these pawns here. Notice we've stopped f2. Okay. And then we can actually play rook f2. So if he plays rook h2, we play rook f2, he takes, we take. Play g4 now. And play king to g3. Meanwhile, I pick off all these pawns. g4 now. He has a lesson to play rook e6, bishop. Rook e1 now, as we stop king f2. We're preparing king f2. H6 now on my bishop. King f2. Ooh, nice. The idea with king f2 now is that we're threatening checkmate one move. Okay. Okay, so after rook to e6, exchange it off. Takes, bishop takes. And we can play rook takes a6. Now the tables have turned, and white's actually the one who's so rook e8 check, king f7, rook a7, rook e7, king g8. Here I could have played now. I drew the game here. It feels like white's winning this, but I'm hard pressed to prove it. For example, king e3, e3. He doesn't have g5, right? Takes h4. Oh yeah, rook takes h4. It should be d6. Or takes b. h3. Clever move. The idea is we over defend this so we can threaten. Oh, we can't push it yet, but news I have rook a7. So for example, f2 discovered check, I just take. Rook f3 doesn't help you. King g2. Rook takes and rook takes. King takes. Rook takes and king takes. Here white is definitely winning because he's up a rook, plus he's going to win all these pawns. And then the other thing is, after c3, we just play bishop to f4 and play a6. Oh yeah, rook takes a6, c2, and then you play rook takes c6. And that's definitely winning. Instead, I played rook e8 check. I like the idea. I think the idea was after, but the thing is, he has king f7 now. That's completely equal. No, it's not completely equal. Oh, f8. Did I miss that? It's the rook. I missed that. Okay. Now keep in mind that these were 10-minute games, but I didn't want to make the game so long that it took too much time to play a couple games. I didn't want to make it a 5-minute game either. I think what I might do in the future is step it up to make it maybe be a 15-minute game. Then once I get good at 15, I go to maybe 20, 25, and 30. But yeah, the true test actually is if you play at least a 30-minute game. King g7 now. Let me pick up the rook and stuff. Play rook e7, king g8. Yeah. Could have still played king e3, rook takes h4, and bishop to d6. I'm not so sure about that idea. Bishop d6. Bishop d6 immediately. And rook take bishop d6, rook takes h4, then what? Okay. It claims that white's winning this. I'm gonna have to look at this later to look at this more in depth of this endgame. Apparently I missed something. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna take a quick intermission break, okay? Get up, stretch, get some water, some coffee, or whatever. I'll be back momentarily. Thank you for understanding. The prawn. W. Okay. All right. Thank you for waiting there. We'll go to the second game here. Now, in the second game, I'll move the engine first. I played white in this game, so I played d4, d5, c4. Plays the Queen's Gambit Acceptor, where it takes the pawn to the c pawn. Knight f3, stop this e5 idea. b5. Now, you can immediately see that this is the wrong idea because you're not developing a piece. And the thing is, the question is, can this pawn hold on, for example, after a4? Well, a6 would work because we play pawn takes, and after pawn takes, we play rook takes. Or after c6, a4, c6, we play knight to c3, hitting it twice. In which case, after b4, I believe I have knight to a4 now. No, not a4. I have knight b5 now. I play a4, but maybe okay. a4. The idea with a4 is a critical position in the open because mistakenly for black, thinking he could hold on to the c. After a4, for example, if b takes a4, well, we can simply just play knight to c3 now. We're hitting both the pawn. How are you going to defend it? You can play bishop e6, but then I have d5, right? I also have queen takes a4 check, followed by e4, d5 takes. After the check, he plays queen to take c4. Sorry. After queen a4, he plays bishop to d7. I play queen takes c4, and then e6. Then knight e5. The idea is to stop knight e6. Knight e7, knight f6. Here, white is, I don't know. Let's see. We've got 6 against 6 pawns. Better development. And white is now threatening this. Well, he can do it right away. He's saying black would play knight e7 to go to d5. g3 now. Play bishop to g2. Knight at b to c6 as the other knight is defending it. Play bishop to g2. Notice how he's playing flexibly. A lot of players wouldn't like to play g3 because they think, well, no, it should definitely be on d3. But the thing is, when we play chess, one of the lessons I've been learning is more a philosophical lesson when it comes to chess. Is that you play the best move on the board. You don't care what style it is. You just play the best move. When you focus on the best move on the board, you don't worry about styles. You just say, what is the best move? So bishop g2, knight takes e5 now. D takes e5 now. He doesn't have knight e5. We're on the rook. Rook to b8 now. Notice I couldn't immediately take on a8 because knight takes c4. Just to make that point clear, d takes e5, rook b8, and then rook takes a7. Pawn on c7. So Now white, I would say white is winning because we are threatening rook takes c7. We can play c6 here. It's very possible that I could. Can't win c6 right away. Can um. Now here's the thing. He has one little clever move of playing knight to g6. The idea is I take on c7, but he takes on e5. So what we do is when we decide, the way we try to figure this out is we have a couple ideas. We can play f4 as for the engine. We can play queen d4 to defend this e pawn. Or we can just go in with queen takes c7 and get greedy. Well, if we play rook takes, and then alternatively could play rook takes c7. Here's the problem with rook takes c7 is that his knight takes e5. On the queen, where do we put the queen? There's no check, right? You have to play rook takes d7 now, because you have nowhere to put the rook or the queen. And after knight takes c4, pawn taking my queen, rook takes d8 and rook takes d8. Let's see. He's got a rook. I've got three pieces. He has a one piece and two rooks. Four pawns against five pawns. So, sorry, two pieces against three pieces. He has an extra rook, so it's I have an extra piece and a pawn for the rook. It's definitely not how we want to be ending up. And if we take with the queen instead, see, this is how we think when we play. We can't just like, okay, just any move that looks good. Like queen takes c7, sorry, alternatively. Queen takes and rook takes. Now here you can even play knight takes c5. There is this king d8 now. King d8. Taking the rook, you can't defend it very easily. So he goes back to a7. The idea with king d8, we're defending the bishop, bringing the king, giving the king some room here. Also giving the bishop some room to come back, but we want to play your bishop out, and we'd like to play eventually actually king to c8. That way, if he ever gives check, we can play king c7 if the rook's connected. So bishop c5. Now we're hitting the rook. Rook a2. Takes e5. Let's pause a moment and say, okay. Engine says this is clearly better for white. Well, it's three pieces against three pieces and five pawns against four. So I guess technically this is better for white for the time being. For example, after f6, after castle and f6, holding the knight on e5 as an outpost. Could play knight e4 now to keep the bishop. Goes back to b4, and then we play rook d1, right? We don't play rook d1. Okay, is one option. I kind of like bishop e3 more than I think about it because I'm developing a piece. Okay. And we are controlling c5 square, so I guess technically this is better for white, but we don't just want a good move, we want the best move. So, after rook to b8 now, right, we need to consider what's the, okay, rook to b8, knight takes rook takes a7, knight to g6, okay. This is the critical, this is where the rubber meets the road, this is the critical. The main idea now is we want to hold on to our advantage by playing f4. We Have a beautiful bishop on g2. We'd like to play like maybe king f2, rook d1, or even castle rook d1. Maybe castle's better. Because king f2, well, check yet. Yeah, maybe castle's better than. So rook b4 now on the queen. Queen to a2. Notice we have a battering ram for any rook to e8. So he's going to play bishop to c5 now. We're on the rook. The idea is if you play rook to a8, he has bishop to c, or even rook to b8. So we say, okay, our rook's under attack. We're going to move it. That's where we're attacking the piece. Bishop comes back to e7. Bishop to e3. See that we got both bishops pointing down the board. Bishop e3 is a nice move for sure. The coordination of these two bishops are beautiful. We could actually castle, then play rook d1. Computer claims that this is winning for white. Probably is. Now instead here, black plays b4, which is more prudent because he says, okay, I can't hold on to the pawn and play b4. Stops me from playing knight c3, but I can play e4 here. I play e3, maybe it's a little timid. Well, the thing with e4 is he played knight f6. Okay, exactly. So if I were to play e4 now, plays knight f6. Well, c3 doesn't make any sense because I can just take. But knight f6 on the pawn. Bishop takes c4, knight takes e4. And the pawn on f7 threatening me. e6 now. Check, defended by the pawn. Notice he can't play c6 because knight takes. C takes, knight takes, knight takes, bishop takes, and we fork them. The king and the rook all at the same time having the bishop here. After we take with the knight, not before. Bishop e7. To f3 now. We're on this knight. We're threatening mate, so he has to go back to f6 or play f5. Let's say he plays f5 now. H5 check, g6. Problem is now if knight takes g6. So the idea is if h takes g6, we take the rook on h8. And of course the bishop on f8 will be pinned, so it can't develop the piece. So knight f6 now, hit the queen. Queen f3. H takes g. And then queen to a8. We're going to follow up with playing bishop g5. Then knight d2. Just have to be careful because he has this half open fellow on the h. But, oh, he claims this is equal. This is winning. It's like I'm a rook up here, though. No, I'm up a rook first one of his pieces. Let's count how many pawns we have. 6, he has 6. I'm up the exchange, so I'm not sure how this is equal. Queen takes a8. Okay, bishop a6 plays instead. After e3, plays bishop a6. We're hitting this twice. 6. Queen b5. Queen b5. Bishop e2. Now here's a tricky thing. Bishop e2. Knight d2 now. Problem with knight d2 is that if I play e4, it can take on d4. Bishop e2 is nice. He has bishop e2. If he takes on g2, we can play bishop f3, helping the queen and the rook. So once the queen moves, for example, to h3, we take his rook. Then we play knight d2, knight f3, or knight d2, knight e4, etc. So even after f5, we just don't care. We played knight d2 anyway, hitting the pawn twice. Knight f6, knight d takes c4. So that would be winning for white. We're gonna win another pawn on the exchange. He doesn't have queen g2. He can even play queen f3 to trade the queens. Then bishop e2, king e2, or castle queenside. I even like castle queenside more, just so we can get the king away from the center. Also to get the rook activated on the d5. After knight takes d takes c4, this is winning for white, which I can definitely see. I played knight d2, not the correct move. A little passive. I was playing it too safe, so for example, what if he plays f6? Oh, we have knight e to takes c4, knight to c6. Bishop to d3. f5 now. Castle. Knight f6, trying to get control of the e4 square. And we're going to play e4 anyway. Wow, e4, nice. Okay. If you were to play queen takes d4, now we're on the bishop, so we play knight to b3, hitting the queen. Queen goes back to d8. Queen to c2 now. So what we like to do is open up the center because that's where the king is. F takes e, bishop takes e, knight takes e, queen takes e. Hitting the knight, and we're also attacking on the e file. Something like bishop g5 or fe1. After bishop e7 to defend the knight, knight c5, hitting the bishop. That way, if we would discovered attack, we just take the knight, the bishop, and with being on the queen. Queen to c8 now. Rook to d1. Also controlling the d file. We'd like to play something like knight d7. He also at the same time defended the bishop on d7. Plays knight to d8 now. And then queen e2. The idea now is we're going to play bishop f4, rook ac1, quite possibly. For example, sample line could be queen f5, knight to e5 now, a6, f4 now, e6, and rook takes t8 excellent. Now, you probably wonder why would he give up the rook for the knight? Well, because after rook takes d8, I can play knight takes b7 and get 2 pieces for the rook. Now remember, the rook is worth 5 and each piece is worth 3, so if I get 2 pieces, I get 6 points versus his 5. That's my favorite. The idea is rook, bishop e3, rook ac1. Knight b5, rook d5, and g4. White's coming forward. It looks like he's gonna play f5. So knight c6 and breaking through. So e4, nice move. That should be winning for white. Not just clearly winning, but winning. Instead he plays e6. d3. Now I'm see. I think what my mistake was in the game. I was playing it too safe because objectively bishop d3 is just better. Because again, bishop d3 now, queen takes g2. What do we have just like in the other game? Instead of on f3, we put it on e4, attacking the queen and the rook the same thing again. And this is winning. This wins the exchange. So this is winning for white after bishop e4. Winning the exchange. Bishop d3, you pretty much have to play, I don't know, f5 now? Or you could play, the thing is, f6 is bad in this game because he's, we would like to play knight f6 here, but with the pawn on f6, it's not playable anymore. So you'd have to play basically f5 here. We just keep going with e4 now. If queen takes d4 now, I'm going to play queen e2 now. We're on defending the bishop and the pawn, but playing on this e file. Because the idea now is I'd like to play e takes f5. So after f takes e4, bishop takes e4. It's on the rook. C6, castle, bishop c5. Playing aggressively to attack there, hoping I'm going to move my rook away. Bishop f5 now. Attack this, it's pinned. The pawn is pinned on that file. So knight d7. And then we simply just have bishop takes e6. Well, we're threatening bishop takes g8 as discovered check. There's just so many things that can be played from here. Bishop takes d7 and stuff like that, or we can even play. Yeah, bishop takes e6, knight c5. So if he goes d8, we take on c6. That's a fork, and so on. Bishop takes e6. Okay. That's winning for white as well. After b3, it's a little bit passive. Okay, it's solid but passive. Okay, but not too much of a mistake because it is very solid. But we need to play more active. Play more actively. Okay. If we play more actively, we want to get a piece out. We don't want to. It's already defended twice. What's the problem? In fact, even if it's that much of a concern, I can even play like queen b3 after bishop b2. I'm gonna follow up with bishop f3 anyway. It's gonna be the big deal. b3, bishop b7, bishop b2. Is bishop b2, a5, e4. Yes, that's alert. I like that. e4 is good. Yep. Queen d8, bishop. Now, so it's a little bit slow, but we finally got it out because we had the time to do it because we template the queen. Bishop d3. Now plays a desperate move like h5. He doesn't have pieces out. He's got a nice bishop on b7, but nothing else is out. It's quite bad, quite a bad position. Already here after bishop d3, you'd almost argue white's winning. I mean, and it's pretty straightforward. You just bring out another piece. h5, queen e2 now, queen f3. I didn't really like queen f3 here because it'd be in the bishop is. Probably here, maybe castle was objectively better. Play f4 and f5 here. So after 97 to block that. Maybe f4 again, yeah, d5 maybe. F3 now. B to c6. Now d5 can be played much easier. Yeah, d5. D5, yeah. d5, e takes d. Play e takes d9. Queen takes d. We need to do something quick here, otherwise he gets the castle. Bishop g6 check. Good move. Cannot play knight takes g6 because queen takes d5. King d7 now. Notice now the king has to come out towards the center. That's a bad sign. Now we move out another piece. E4. We're going to play rook ad1 now. Play knight d4 now on the queen. H3 check. 8. A1. C5. This idea of knight e2 check, but knight e2 check, king h1, knight f4. Queen g3. Let's look at this. Knight e2 check. When we play that castle, when we play the rook ad1, we have to say, okay, I play rook ad1. Well, he can play knight e2 check. Then followed by with the idea of knight f4. Knight e2 check, king h1, knight f4. Attacking the bishop and the queen at the same time. I've got rook takes d5 check. Bishop takes d5. G3 now. Hitting the knight, where's it gonna go? Notice he doesn't have knight e2 forking. So knight f takes g6 now. Notice that I didn't take here on g6. Well, you can't take because the other knight's taking. Yeah. I'm gonna play rook d1 now, hitting his piece. After rook d1, you have to look at this. You say, okay, I have 3 pieces, he has 4 pieces. I have 1 rook, he has 2 rooks. That's rook and not rook and one of his pieces. Rook and bishop for a queen. Well, that queen would be better. How many pawns? We have 6 pawns against 5. Rook, knight, and pawn against queen. That's actually equal. I have to rook to d1 now. This is looking interesting because this bishop's not going to be able to move. Looks like knight c5, followed by knight e6. A6, c5, you can see. Kicking the rook, but the rook can go to c6. Hitting my knight on c5. Knight takes a5. And yes, if rook takes knight, knight. I don't have knight to, yes, I have knight to b7 because the bishop's in. Rook takes knight. Knight to b7 check. King to c8. King to e8. And knight takes rook here. assess after this combination. Got 4 pieces against my 2. We both have a rook. How many pawns? So, 2 pieces for the queen. That means I'm a piece up in equivalency. And that means white would be winning in that variation, in that line. So, instead of play queen e2. Now, the whole thing, technically queen e2 is still winning. And I'm threatening to play d5 because after e takes, we play e takes d5, that's check, can't take. So queen e2 is still winning at this point. d7, f4, h4, knight to f3 here. I like f5 more here, simply because we're hitting the pin pawn. Is f5 is e5 or is also is queen e7. E7, we can castle h3, you play g3, and knight h6. Takes e, takes e. Then we need to assess what's going on here. Play knight e3, but for what purpose? Well, stops queen g4, stops the knight g4, and we can play rook ac1, attacking the c1. So knight e3, nice move. See, the problem with black's position is he's kind of stuck in the center, so if he goes queenside, we've got knight ec4 here, hitting this a pawn. We've got d5 coming, followed by d6, rook over. And this is winning for white. Knight f3 now. Knight f3, knight e7, castle, move to g6. I didn't like this idea of g3 now because g3 h takes. Look, we got an open file. I can play king f2 and then rook f1. That's true. It seems to be against the spirit of what I'm doing here. Look at this again. We see g3's. I didn't like g3. Queen e3 is possible and queen d2 is possible. Well, queen d2 doesn't really have anything over on the queen side. Queen e3, attacking, defending the f4 pawn. And I think what we're gonna do is play f5 next move, but here's the thing, can I just play f5 anyway? Well, knight f4, right? So queen e3, h3, we really play g3. There's a whole prelude on g2, but the question is, does he have enough pieces to get over there? I mean, rook fe1 is going to be a battery on the e file. Queen to b8 now. Knight to h4. Alright. After knight h4, blockaded that. threatening to play some move like knight f5 or knight g6. Let's stop knight g6. White is also winning after knight h4 as well. Like queen d2, knight e7, and then e5. What I'd like to do is block this, break open the center. There is this idea of playing f5 g5 on this pawn here. Okay, h6, e3, c6, knight c4, knight to c8, knight d6, knight takes, pawn takes, bishop takes. So here we shouldn't have done that too soon. We should have played rook to a, e1. So you try to defend on e6. Rook a, e1 looks better. Because now, if he takes in the end, we take e6. Having a double attack against him. E6 was too soon. Okay? A, e1 is better. What do you have here? Bishop a6 then. And we play knight d6. Notice he kind of forced it here. Knight d6, that's check. You can't take the bishop on d3. Bishop takes, pawn takes, bishop takes d3, and rook takes e6. Rook takes e6, knight takes e6. We're on the queen now, so the queen has to move. If the queen goes to e7, we have this rook idea of rook f e1. And if bishop takes f1, of course we just take the queen. Seems obvious. And here we thought we could take back, but what happens if it queen t5? For example, pawn takes pawn, queen takes d5, we're on the rook. Because we're on the rook here, we have the luxury of taking this. Now, after d takes, what happens if he moves the bishop? For example, to a6. He takes c6 now. b8, to d5. And I'm threatening mate. And so anyway, queen d5. Queen d5 looks winning anyway. Just visually looks winning. I mean, we're defending the pawn, but also threatening mate. How do we stop the mate? We have to give up. Yes, and give up material. So knight d6, knight takes d6, e takes, bishop takes. Play it one move too late. Knight f8, bishop c4, bishop c8. Here it's white to play, okay, so we want to continue pressure on the e pawn. We've already given up a pawn as it is. How do we increase the pressure against the e pawn? Well, queen c2, right? Well, first of all, we're straight out threatening to win the pawn. You can't take this as pinned by the rook. Then you can play bishop e7. Okay. E5 now. Double up. H3 now. G3. We don't want to open up anything on the king side. F to E1. So doubling up, we've got this on it 4 times. It's defended 3 times. Knight, bishop, and rook. And he plays rook F E8. This is what could happen. Rook Fe1. Bishop E7. Bishop D3. Again, the idea is to play bishop takes F5. Now, if he plays pawn takes F5, we play rook takes E7 check. We do win a pawn, but we get our attack moving. And of course, after bishop F6, I simply just play rook takes F5. And that's winning a pawn. Winning a pawn and winning. We need to rook E7 and D5. E5, C takes, bishop takes. Rook E7 now to block this. Notice we need to move the queen because now the rook is on the same file as the queen. Get my mouse to work. Here we want to move the bishop out of the way and give check first. Oh, wait. Yes, nice move. Bishop c6. Well, the thing is, I had to move the bishop because the pin has been broken by the rook. So bishop c7, bishop c6, bishop d7, queen to b5. Okay. Play queen to c4. Queen d5 does more because we're attacking on d7. Okay. What is he gonna play? C7. E5. Now here, white is not winning, but just slightly better. Okay. Right there. Queen c4 now, but here's what it missed. Queen b6 check. Queen c4 check. This loses a bishop. Okay. Unfortunately, my opponent did not see it. Loses the bishop. What he could have played was queen to b6 check, after bishop to d4. Plays queen takes c6. Alright. After queen takes c6, I mean, we get the piece. Plays h3, I play g3, g6, rook e1. Okay, again, queen b6 is the idea now. My thinking was I'd be attacking his bishop, but it would be with checks, so I wouldn't have time to respond. Okay. I'm going to play queen b6 check with the same idea. Rook f2, and then we play bishop c5. 4, bishop takes, queen takes. Queen takes, rook takes, and then bishop c6. Black is up a piece. See the trend? Just both of us just missed that tactic of queen b6. Sometimes when you're so focused on one thing, you lose sight of another thing. You want to look at the whole board, not just one side or the other. Okay, bishop c7, rook f e1, queen to c, queen to c8, and bishop e5. Black's still winning, but now he's winning in a different way because after bishop to b6 check, bishop d4, queen takes c6. Take the queen first. Then I take bishop. He has 3 pieces against 2. That's his advantage. Means white's still winning. Alright, now bishop takes b6. Hmm. Okay, apparently this is... Okay, and so... Bishop takes d4 was correct then. Yes, actually, this is the mistake. Bishop d4 check. That's a good move, not a bad move. Bishop takes, rook takes, queen takes. Black is up a piece. Now I should have lost this game from here. I was able to get some pawns and start doing some stuff. Now the thing is, he got that little tactic, but he's playing passively. After he takes here, we want to. I said, okay, I'm going to take one pawn now. That's one pawn. No more threats on the G2 square. Queen takes, rook takes, and then rook H6 on my knight. So I play knight G5. That's right. G5, knight takes G, knight G6. Rook to C5. That's good. Knight's getting counterplay with knight to C, rook to C5. E8, rook takes 8. So notice I've got H pawn and the A pawn. I've got two pieces, but two pawns for that piece. Possibly three or more later. Bishop C6. Rook to C5. Bishop to D5. Here you should have played bishop D5 now. Rook C7 was passive. Passive play. See, in these types of positions, you want to be playing your pieces actively. Bishop D5 instead. See, rook E3 now. Right? This position favors black. Rook C7. Knight takes C6 now. We got a third pawn. And we're on the rook. Now he has to play rook E7. It's almost no choice. Rook E7, but then the problem is I have rook takes C6. So what's the deal? Rook C8. We could play rook C8 now. Rook takes C6. Rook takes, rook takes. D4 discovered check. King D7. Knight takes C6. King takes C6. I have two extra pawns for the piece. He's winning for way too long. Oh, I see. Because after king takes c6, I have to simply rook takes c6. Working the two here. King to c5. Now we take the rook. And I can see how this is winning now. Now, e7 takes c6, h6, king f2. Here I could have played a little bit more actively with rook takes g7. King f2 I think is a mistake. Rook takes g, knight takes g7 check. King d7. Rook now. play knight takes e7. He is after, well, for example, after king takes e7, we got knight takes f5, winning the rook on h6. King f2, knight f8, rook c8 check, king f7, rook takes f8. Notice the king should not be in the back rank, but should be forward. Rook takes f8, winning a piece. Now I'm definitely winning, for sure. Also, this will lead to a checkmate. Notice that the knight on e6 cannot be taken by the king because the rook is guarding it, and the rook on f8 is attacking the king, so the rook on e7 cannot take it. F takes f8, king g6, rook g8. After rook e6, rook takes c6. I'm going to play king f7 on 4 2. Now I'm going to play rook takes rook, takes h8. Let me move. Let me simply just play b8 to win the other pawn, and that's definitely wrong. I won't go through the mate in 12. King h7, rook takes, king takes, rook g6, rook takes b6, b4, g5, b5, g4, b6. Once you won this pawn is the other pawn's going to rule. Now, that is our second game. Some takeaways. Number one, biggest takeaway. Always play actively if possible. Never play passively. That will lead to your downfall. Second of all, we need to double check when we look at variations. We had this idea of playing like queen b6, or let's say bishop to b6, you see killing the king. What we want to do is to prevent that. Mm. Anyway, we have a check because of the have a discovered attack. To avoid that, we could have played king h1 or even the main move in the game. Second thing is another idea is You get a position like this. We want to increase the pressure. Notice that the pin is broken here, so we need to redirect our attack over on the b5 to d7 diagonal. For a third game, and we'll go over some main ideas. The third game was very short. This game was about the opponent not paying attention. What I'm going to do is I'm going to swap the board around. So e4, d5, e takes d, knight f6, d4, bishop g4, knight f3, queen takes d5, bishop e2, c6. Notice how my piece will come out a little faster. I'm going to castle queenside. The idea is to pressure the d4 pawn. c4, queen f5 is forced, knight c3. Now we can play e6 here, we can play castle queenside. Let's look at which other game the engine. So queenside is decent for sure. Alright, castle queenside. What you'd like to do is play d5 now, hitting the knight. e5. A little better because once he plays d5, see here's the thing is what white would do is like castle queenside is going to play bishop e3, then queen a4. Here immediately play e5. Comes a threat. d5 now. Bishop takes f3. The idea is if he plays d takes c, take back with the bishop. d5. Castle queenside instead. It's not quite the best move. It looks good, but we need to have more in the center. Notice that the e-pawn is guarded twice. Knight and the bishop. Castle queenside, d5. Now, instead of moving the knight, we'd like to bring out our bishop and attack e6. e6 now. Knight d4, bishop takes e2. Knight takes e2, and knight takes d4. Knight takes d4. Queen e4 check. Queen e2. E takes d5. E takes d5 is winning. Why is it winning? Let me show you. Number one, because we're up. Number two, we have prospects of playing d even d takes c4 winning a second. Then also this idea of playing bishop b4, check followed by rook h d8. 1 moment, let me step out just for 1 moment, guys. Okay, thank you for that. So here, after e takes d, we notice we're a pawn up here. Excuse me. Yeah, we have 7 against 6 pawns. Notice the knight is not placed well on e2. We don't have our bishop out on d2. We don't have our bishop out. It could go to d2, but then we'd win another pawn, and then his bishop would be pinned. Then I could even follow it up with bishop to d2 after taking the pawn. In which case, after pawn takes pawn, he can play e3 to stop it. Then I believe something like bishop c5 or bishop c5 now. If he plays b4, we just take in passing. So he plays now here. He could have just castled, despite the bullet just being pawned down. Okay. For example, he could have played queen e1 now. Now I would play queen c2. I follow my bishop c5 and rook fe8, rook he8. He might play like knight c3, bishop to c5. Notice we're hitting on the f pawn twice. Defended 3 times, so it's okay. Then he plays bishop b3, develop a piece. Then we have rook he8. Notice we're pinning the bishop, attacking it twice. So after bishop takes b6, we play rook takes e1. Right? See, he'll get a rook and a bishop, but then at the end I'll play queen takes b2. So for example, here he could take on c5. He would take his queen. He would take with the other. And I would take on b2, hitting his knight. Of course, bishop takes b6. We have b6. Bishop takes a7. b6, spinning the bishop. And then 92, defending that. And then b6 on the bishop here. So of course, this would be winning for sure, but it'd be better, but it's already quite bad. It doesn't seem like this would be so bad, but look at these open files. I haven't castled. You don't all have all of your pieces out. Well, neither do I, but look at the open files I have. It seems like such a basic thing, but it's so powerful. So c takes d now. Here I could have played bishop to b4 check. The reason why it's good is not just because it gives check, but it lets me gain tempo by playing rook to he8. Yes, it's a check, but the idea is so I can play rook he8 to prevent castling here. So bishop b4 check is kind of like saying you can't castle if you're in check. After bishop d2, we're going to play rook takes d5x. See that? The idea is we're attacking this twice while it's pinned. We're going to follow this up with rook at rook to e8. Castle, and rook takes d2. Now we're hitting the knight also second time. Notice everything is defended here, except, well, what's undefended? The g pawn, the a pawn, and the rook on h8. So we can play like rook to e8 or rook at h to d8. So that's definitely winning. Then, oops, knight takes d5. Not as good. I thought I had some sort of discovery of like knight takes knight f4, but he take. But I also have a threat. Also, queen takes g2. What we want to do is focus on playing into the center first. When opportunities present themselves, when it's best to take on g2, we'll take. Notice that we have more than one good move. We have priorities, which is developing the piece to be able to check against the king. Now let's suppose he stops to check. His bishop to d2. And we play knight f4, hitting this twice, hitting on e2. The idea now is to play bishop to b4, and after, similar to the other variation, after bishop takes b4, rook takes d1, rook takes d1. Play queen again takes b4 check. If he moves, we go back to e4. Then he has to play king f1. Then we play queen takes g2. So this is going to be very bad. So he could play f3 instead to hit the queen. We go back to e5. Bishop takes f4. Take the queen first. Here we won't take with a rook, we'll take with a king so we can get out of the pin. And then play queen d5 check. The king goes back to e1 now. Bishop goes to c5 now. Well, not only can he not castle, but we're turning rook to e8. So this also would be winning for black as well. Queen b3. So he plays queen b3 in all of this. We want to get our bishop out because it gives us time to play rook he8. So when we block, we play rook he8. Bishop takes b4. What we need to see is this bishop takes b4 move. It looks like there's like a basic just check, but we have to see. So he doesn't have time to castle. Then with rook he8, which was the point, now I'm threatening mate on e2. So he misses bishop, misses the mate on e2. He needs to go back to d1 or castle queen. So let's say castle queen. I could play queen takes g2, although rook g1. Queen takes g2, rook playing g3 now. Bishop to c5. And if rook to g1 now, he wants to preserve the h pawn. Play queen f3 because queen falls equal. Queen h3. And again we have bishop takes f2 as a threat. Queen f3 now, trying to trap the queen. Simply just play f6. Move f6. And then follow my queen to e6. And here black would be winning. This would be better for black, but because the position is so unbalanced, and have so much initiative, and he can't, and his pieces are pinned, they don't have time to respond. This is winning. So when he doesn't see the idea, probably thought his queen somehow was on c2 or something, or was already defending that knight, and of course just took here for me. There's one Our idea here is you can play queen to d1 now. Knight f4. 3 times. Let's say, well, if he plays bishop takes d4, then we just play rook takes d1. Okay, so if he plays rook takes, then we have queen takes e2. If he plays king takes, we still have queen takes e2 check. Only move is king c1, knight d3 check. See, only one move, and then he played queen takes e2. Notice how the knight and the queen work together. The bishop got out of the way, so the rook can go on to e8. Attack the piece twice. Now in this case, that knight f4, notice he can't play bishop takes f4 because there's a pin, there's a cross pin here. Okay? Can't take on f4 because bishop b4 is pinning it. Notice also I'm threatening knight takes queen or knight takes on g2 as well. So okay. Here's some takeaways from this game. Play this when we play against this, okay? Very forcing line. After this queen f5, we need to think what black's gonna play. Well, he'd like to play e5 now, like castle queenside. We have to anticipate where black's gonna play here. So playing bishop e3 would be preferable because we defend the d4 pawn. So black would still play e5. And then we can actually make trades here. Bishop takes e2 on the queen. Queen takes e2. And we take back. Knight takes e5. E takes e5. Queen takes e5. What's wrong with the b pawn? Ooh, bishop d4. Ah, bishop d4. Nice. And we trade queens. Queens come off the board. We play rook. And we play castle queenside. Notice he's not going to take on a7 because we can trap him with b6. If he already had a pawn on a5 when I play b6, we can trade. So, at this point, engine thinks this is equal. So, this would be more along the lines of how you should play it out. Definitely getting your bishop on the e3. You need to guard that center first before. As for black, what he wants to do is he wants to get e5 in as soon as possible. Okay. And when he plays d5, he just castle queenside. Okay. So, for example, let's suppose he played d5. He could play knight d4 and play knight c2 as a forward. So let's say he doesn't take, he plays a3 instead. We just take. See that? So he'll take back with his knight. You take, it's on the queen. Well, if bishop takes d4, we're just gonna take, we're gonna just, actually, just defend it twice. So if I go castle queenside, pinning the knight, see that? And what we'd like to do is play bishop c5. time, a second time, then rook h8 as well, hitting that bishop the other bishop a second time, and pinning it so there's no exchanges here. So here, of course, you have to play bishop takes, knight takes now. Um, uh, there's a threat of a tactic. Can you see it? Suppose you could, let's say it was black's move here. I know it's not black's move, but just for example, just to see the threat. Suppose it's black's move. What would you play? Okay, we could play bishop c5. That's true. We could immediately win it with rook takes d4. Why? Because excuse me, wait. We can't immediately win it with rook takes d4 because queen takes d4 would defend on f2. We can play bishop to c5. Notice that bishop takes c5, we would just take this queen. And when he takes back with his king, we take back the other bishop with our queen as well. Again, we're on that pawn on f2 twice, two times. And then, of course, if he plays f3, we play knight e3 check, and then join the pawn on g2. Not any problems here. So, let's go back to the engine. I'll show you that. So knight takes g4, so the threat is bishop to c5. So we can play queen f3 now, defend that f1. Notice we can't play rook takes d4 now because queen takes queen. So we have to exchange queens. She takes f3. Here we're going to play rook takes d4. He's going to get my knight, but I'm going to get his piece. And also, we're going to win a pawn game and exchange either on g4 or c4. So if he doesn't now, he takes here. I'm going to take on c4 now. Notice if I take on g4, you can play b3. Now you can also play f3 or h3. What we're going to do is if f3, we're going to play bishop d6, followed by bishop f4. If we play bishop c5, he has b4. Yes, you have bishop d4 and stuff, but I guess we can do that. We can either play rook d8 or rook e8. Okay, so this is winning as well. The activity was the way to this. And notice that the pawns, I'm up one pawn, but it would be up two pawns. And I have a more active position. And his bishop against knight, which is only a slight advantage. Okay, so I'll do that for some main points of my game. Let's look at some overall points for the lesson. The first overall point is we need to play actively. And this seems to be the issue in all these games. In my white game, I should have just put bishop e2 one of the moves. And then later on, or I could have played bishop e3. Bishop e2, you can't take the g2 pawn, remember, because bishop f3, poking the queen and the rook at the same time. Also earlier, he cannot play even queen takes d4 after e4. Queen takes d4 because knight b3. Queen moves, and then we move the bishop. Let me get that. Okay, so here we simply just want to play bishop b2. We can't play bishop c4, bishop d3 because the pawn. We can play bishop e2 followed by bishop f3. Bishop e2 is so strong you have to move the queen again. Because otherwise you'll get skewered. And the other thing is, instead of b3, you could simply just play bishop d3. Remember, if he plays bishop g2 now, I'm just simply going to play bishop e4. Okay? Now, when you get a position like this, we don't want to keep our king in the center. like also because this G pawn, the E pawn can't very easily move because I play bishop takes G2. What I'll do is you'll castle, then play rook to E1 on the same file as the king. Okay. Also, we also need to calculate and look at the end of the combination before we make the move. Okay. Now, how about sum it up for this lesson? I'd like to thank you for watching this video. You know that this will has added value to your game as there are some lessons that can be learned. Even grandmasters can learn games, learn from other people's games in terms of all types of things, such as from every aspect of the game. Especially for openings they don't play, they can also learn it as well. So please click like on the video, that way it'll be pushing the algorithm and more people will be able to see it, enjoy it, and be able to benefit from the lessons that are in this game. If you haven't already, please click subscribe, that way you have access to all my videos on this channel. And finally, also, if you haven't already, please click the bell button. That way you'll be notified of all my future videos, as I do have a variety of content on this channel. Actually, uh, well, a variety of different themes of chess on this channel. Again, I'd like to thank you for watching this video. I'd like you to take care wherever you are. I'll talk to you next time. See you later.